the largest and fastest growing churches in the nation. You'll remember this. It's Pastor Ed Young was making national headlines by encouraging married couples to have more sex.
But sources now say membership has waned, and Pastor Young may have lost his way. Channel 8's Brett Shipp joins us now. He's got more. Brett?
John and Gloria, by most accounts, Ed Young is a dynamic, charismatic, and inspirational preacher. But some who used to be close to him say they are concerned about his direction. As one put it, instead of choosing to be a prophet and a pastor, Young has chosen the road of being a profitable pastor. Now documents obtained by News 8 suggest the very visible Ed Young may be keeping things from his congregation, namely the church jet. Tonight, News 8 investigates. He's splashy and hip. His message contemporary and cool. His marketing tops in the world of mega evangelism, making huge waves 1 year ago with this.
Well, some mega church goers in Texas are in for a bit of a shocking sermon.
Ed Young's sermon, 7 Days of Sex, made him a national sensation.
Doing a sex experiment will take your marriage to a whole nother level. Say it with me, a whole nother level.
But in the past few months, it's not theology, but physics which has most impacted Young. What goes up must come down.
The lack of accountability, the lavish lifestyle that keeps increasing while the attendance keeps decreasing.
Over the past few weeks, News 8 has been in contact with a number of individuals once close to Young at his massive fellowship church in Grapevine, disturbed by his direction and his treatment of staff. For instance, Young recently replaced his CFO with his personal attorney, business partner, and fishing buddy, Dennis Brewer. With Brewer's help and a complex series of business creations and transactions, Young is now jetting around the country in this. A 2002 French-made Falcon 50 private jet. Estimated value $8.4 million. Records obtained by News 8 indicate that Fellowship Church became the operator of the jet in March of 2007. News 8 discovered the jet parked in a hangar at Alliance Airport north of Fort Worth, tucked away where only a select few can see it. Those who hear him preach every Sunday have never been told about it. In one of his recent sermons, Young preached of the need to be honest and open.
Have you ever played the cover-up game? Oh, I have.
But covered up is the only way this former employee agreed to speak out about Young.
The staff members are told that there is no plane, and several staff members who have actually been on the plane have denied that there is a plane.
Young, who declined an on-camera interview, told News 8 through a spokesman he travels globally, offering messages of inspiration and transformation to his peers and other pastors. He makes no mention of traveling in a personal jet. But FAA records show that as soon as Young took possession of the jet in 2007, the aircraft logged a week-long trip to the Bahamas. 1 month later, Young's jet logged a 6-day trip to Chetumal, Mexico, also known as the gateway to Belize. But it's not just the jet and the international travel the Youngs keep out of sight. News 8 has also learned that Young's 10,000 square foot, $1.5 million estate on Lake Grapevine is listed on the tax rolls, not in his name, but in the name of Palomito Revocable Trust. Young, who has declined to discuss his house with News 8, repeatedly encourages his followers to be open.
That's how ridiculous you look and I look when we try to cover our stuff from God.
Records show Young was paid $240,000 a year for a parsonage allowance. That's in addition to what sources say is $1 million yearly pastor's salary. Young declined to discuss his salary and compensation with News 8, but his spokesman says the pastor's pay is governed without his participation by an independent compensation committee relying on outside consultation with knowledgeable and experienced church leaders. News 8 has also learned in 2007, Young sold the intellectual property of Fellowship Church's marketing website, Creative Pastors, and the church's membership mailing list to a newly formed for-profit company called EY Publishing. Today, CreativePastors.com is used by Young to sell all of his sermons and books for profit.
When did the intellectual property, when did the preaching and the Bible notes and the books that write become intellectual property for the pastor? That's an abomination. That's the property of the church.
Ole Anthony and his Trinity Foundation investigative team have been monitoring Ed Young for the past 3 years. He says Young has fallen into the same trap as many other televangelists he has investigated over the years.
But now he just bought into the greed in the name of God. They're sanctifying greed. And that's what's so evil.
In the past few years, Young and his attorney Dennis Brewer have created a number of for-profit companies generating money apart from Fellowship Church. Creative Pastors, CreativePastors.com, Creality Enterprises, Creality Publishing, EY Publishing, Ed Young Resources, and UOI Resources. All the businesses list this as their address, the 5th floor of Dennis Brewer's law office in Las Colinas. But the resources used to generate the profits in part come from the not-for-profit Fellowship Church, such as Ed's favorite sermons that were delivered at the church. SMU law professor Wayne Shaw is a former IRS agent and specializes in tax law. He says it's not unusual for pastors to accrue wealth from church resources, but it must be disclosed and separate from any for-profit business.
They've been given a very special duty, and they get benefits for giving that special duty, such as tax exemptions, charitable contribution deductions. And I think it's owed to the public that there is transparency, that the public sees that there is not something bad going on.
According to Young spokesman, any transactions between the senior pastor and the church are conducted at arm's length with full disclosure to and approval by the board. No one is accusing of Young of breaking any laws, but perhaps breaking the covenant of honesty with his congregation.
And I've known intuitively, I've known scripturally that after a while, the truth will come out.
When we ask specifically whether Young has a personal jet, all his spokesman would say is he travels by commercial, charter, and by leased aircraft and reimburses the church for any personal trips. Young's spokesman also told us his board approves all of his spending decisions and the church's finances are audited by an outside accounting firm. But the question remains, are those expenditures and transactions being disclosed to the most important group, the people who give him their money? Brett Shipp, Channel 8 News.